exactly do these two things have in common? Pesticides, corn? Well, more than you might think. In the case of genetically modified corn, scientists have changed its DNA so that it can produce its own pesticides. Throughout the food industry, biotechnology companies are manipulating the very essence of crop seeds, engineering them for higher crop yields, pesticide resistance, and longer shelf lives. Foods containing GMOs aren't exactly the foods that you think you're eating. Instead, 90% of soybeans and about 85% of conventionally produced U.S. corn are actually imposters. They're lab-created foods made to seem just as pure and natural as crops in their natural state. Derivatives of these two crops, like corn syrup and soybean oil, are in over 75% of the packaged food items that you see at the grocery store every day. So if these foods are so pervasive, what's the big deal? For one, pesticide-resistant DNA in the GM foods that we're eating ultimately survives in our own bodies. Scientists like Dr. G. Kleter argue that our bodies hold on to the pesticide-producing genes in genetically modified foods. This process, called horizontal gene transfer, has been linked directly to the rise of antibiotic resistance. That means that we become resistant to the medications that ultimately save lives. When I first learned about GMOs, I immediately assumed that the government must have tested them to assure their safety. Some research into the use of genetically modified organisms unfortunately confirmed my worst fears. GMOs have only been hiding in the food supply since 1996, and since this time, the FDA has conducted no formal testing on their safety. They've become exponentially more pervasive in our food supply. The government isn't going to protect you. You will need to protect yourself. By taking small, feasible steps and paying a bit more attention while food shopping, you can begin to reduce your exposure to GMOs. Start by trying to buy USDA organic produce. These products don't have any genetic modification. It's not allowed by the standards of the USDA. Another handy trick with fruits and vegetables is to look at the PLU, or the little sticker labels, on the products at the store. Numbers that have 4 digits are conventionally produced, meaning that if you're looking at things like corn and soybeans, there's almost a 90% chance that that's been genetically modified. The 5-digit codes, usually starting with a 9, means that the product is not genetically modified because it is certified organic. While the FDA may not be concerned with the use of genetically modified organisms yet, much of corporate America has actually taken a very strong stand against the use of genetically modified organisms. Ben & Jerry's has pledged to remove all RBGH milk, or genetically modified milk, from its supply chain by 2015. Brands like Cliff and Annie's also have pledged to not use genetically modified organisms. With over 6,000 products at the store guaranteed GMO-free, chances are you're probably already enjoying plenty of foods that aren't genetically modified. We just don't know what genetically modified organisms have in store for long-term human health. But by knowing how to avoid them as much as possible, you can make a small investment in your future health.